Hello, thank you and welcome to this webinar. My name is Michael Wolfe. I am CEO of a company called Bottom-Line Analytics. As the name of the company might imply, we deal with the bottom lines of business organizations. In particular, we deal with how a company's marketing activities or marketing expenditures affect the financial bottom lines and the bottom line growth of businesses very much like yours. Today we're going to discuss a rather interesting marketing proposition, and that is how you as a company can increase the revenue for your entire enterprise or your brand from 2 to 8% without requiring one additional dollar of marketing spending. That sounds incredible, doesn't it? Well, today we're going to take you on a journey to becoming a data-driven marketing organization that will enable you to achieve fantastic results such as this. But first, I'd like to share with you some good news and some not so good news. The good news is I have a career that spans 30 years where I have helped companies achieve these kinds of tangible 2 to 8% types of results. So I am totally convinced that you can do this and you can get to those kinds of fantastic benefits. But the not good, so good news here is that there are no easy buttons. There are no magic wands. It is a process that requires your attention and also some effort in order to getting those kinds of results. So before we get to do that, I would like to ask a simple request of you. If you would please mute any possible distractions that you might have during this time. Pay close attention as you will. Maybe take a few notes. What we're going to say here today is really important and critical to achieving some fantastically improving results for your business enterprise. But before we go there, in consideration for your time, who is this webinar really designed for? Well, it's really designed for CEOs and heads of directors of marketing or finance. But not just them. It's also for support people in an organization. Somebody that supports any kind of a data-related support function within the enterprise. Data intelligence, data analytics, or even brand managers or marketing managers. But this webinar is not for everybody. In order to get these kind of results, you need to be spending a threshold level of at least $1 million per year in marketing and advertising. But this is especially for you if you're an executive who really wants to drive more growth and performance from your current marketing and advertising budgets. So what can you expect to learn during this time in this webinar? Well, for one, you're going to know the steps that you're going to need to take in order to get the greater sales growth and performance out of your current marketing budgets. We are not going to be proposing that you spend more money on marketing. We're going to be showing you how to get a better result with what you already have. Next, you're going to know how to develop an accurate assessment of which of your marketing campaigns and initiatives are working well and which ones are not. For those underperforming ones that are not, we're also going to show you how to identify these because they generate substantial savings, really significant savings, by simply identifying these and either cutting them back or eliminating them. And there's a lot of opportunity here, folks. Next, finally, we're going to show you the steps that you need to take to actually determine the payback to each and every one of your marketing investments in order to prove the value of your marketing team and yourself all the way to the CEO and board of directors. Does that sound like a deal? Okay, I'd like to share something with you first, if you don't already know this. According to a study by Proxima Consulting in 2015, Up to 60% of global marketing budgets are being wasted every single year. Other well-known consulting organizations have similarly studied this subject and come to similar conclusions. 60% of, well, for example, on a global basis, somewhere between 600 and 700 billion dollars are spent on advertising alone. This is a mind-boggling sum of money, folks. And this provides the playground for achieving this 2 to 8% that we're driving at during this webinar. Now I'd like to ask a specific question to each and every one of you here today. Does this sound like you? Do you kind of intuitively know that there's considerable waste in your marketing spending, but you really don't know what to do about it? You don't know how to identify it or quantify it. Does that sound like you? Is it becoming harder and harder for you to know if you have the right marketing dollars and plan to begin with in order to get the kind of growth that you really desire? Can you relate to that? And are you finding it more of a challenge and perhaps even more of a contentious issue for you to even get the marketing dollars and plan that you need to get the kind of results that you really want? Does that sound like you? And does it appear increasingly difficult for you to find sufficient and reliable data and information to make decisions, to make data-driven decisions for your organization? Can you relate to that? Okay, we've discussed some issues here, folks, but what is the real problem here? The real problem, of course, is achieving what you want to achieve with your marketing. And the ideal world would look like this. If you could be, you would have the tools in order to more quickly and accurately take care of the short-term business issues and plans, what I call the small stuff. And you would have more time to evaluate and to execute the long-term business growth building opportunities, the really big stuff. And in so doing, you can become truly closer to your customer. And then success would also look like being able to generate a higher and more consistent growth trajectory for your company over time. So more growth is obviously good, but more consistent growth is actually more important. In the business world today, consistency and predictability is an almost priceless commodity. We're going to show you the tools for getting there. And then you'd be able to elevate your company and your brand as becoming a true leader in its segment and its category. We're going to show you a case study later on where this precise thing actually happens. But how is it going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? It's going to happen only if you are able to go down this journey to becoming a data-driven marketing organization. And when you do this, what kind of things can you expect? Well, you'd be able to change the paradigm of your business. Becoming a data-driven marketing organization often requires that. But the payoff is that you're going to have the opportunity to exceed all of the peers in your industry in both business growth and financial results. And that within your company, your marketing team is going to gain a reputation and be better recognized as the leaders in driving growth and profitability across your entire enterprise. And in so doing, opportunities will naturally arise for career growth and expanded opportunities for your marketing team and for yourself as well. Next, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I have about 30 years of direct experience in developing data-driven marketing application using the power of analytics. I've also done this across the globe in over 35 countries. I've also published over 30 articles on various analytics-related topics, ranging from the measurement of ROI or returns on marketing to the effectiveness of Super Bowl advertising to various themes in social media analytics. And as a footnote, I believe I'm fairly well known among my professional peers. I've also been very blessed to work with some incredible blue chip organizations such as Coca-Cola, Kraft Foods, Starbucks, Kimberly-Clark, Capital One, McDonald's, Hyatt Hotels, Federal Express, AT&T, Unilever, and PepsiCo. I've also worked with small firms and large firms, firms as small as a 5-person litigation law firm to as large as AT&T, who, by the way, spends about $2 billion a year on advertising alone. But most of all, I'm really passionate and love what I do because I've been blessed to get these kind of tangible results for companies and clients across the globe. And seeing these things unfold is a real motivation for me. I also have a passion for innovation, new things, and conquering new territory. And I'm not afraid to shake up the status quo and change paradigms when it makes sense. By the way, becoming a data-driven marketing organization sometimes requires changing the paradigms. So what do we do in order to discover this secret of becoming a data-driven marketing organization? What is the secret to success? Well, it starts for you to just simply look around in the business world. You will find that analytics is all around you, and that cases of great success are also around you. One of these, for example, is Facebook. Facebook has developed the most extensive amount and depth of personal data of any organization on the planet, and boy, do they really use it. They've applied analytics to this in order to develop an incredibly precise algorithm for the targeting of advertising. And the success of this has enabled them to become a major force and player in the entire advertising business. And clearly they are a successful data-driven enterprise. But they are not the exception, folks. According to a recent survey by Forbes, 87% of marketers who say they use data-driven predictive analytics have reported that doing so has generated tangible benefits to their bottom line. And we're going to show you cases where that actually happens. 2 cases, in fact. So these are 2 case studies that I've participated in with 2 companies or brands that happen to be icons in the field of marketing and business in general, the Coca-Cola Company and McDonald's. A little over 20 years ago, I was doing marketing ROI or marketing measurement projects for the Coca-Cola across the globe. One of these cases occurred a little over 20 years ago in the country or division in the country of Turkey. As part of this effort, I was doing these models on all major Coca-Cola brands, but in particular focusing on the mother brand Coca-Cola, because at that time it was the leading soft drink in Turkey, but it was not in a great situation. It was losing market share to none other than their nemesis Pepsi. Sales volume was flat in a solidly growing market, which is not where you want to be. By doing this modeling, I was able to identify and quantify a number of business opportunities. The premier one was an opportunity for them to launch a new product into the marketplace, for Coca-Cola to launch a new package, a 2-liter one-way bottle into the marketplace. I estimated if they launched this into the marketplace, Coca-Cola's sales would go from 0 to plus 8% in the course of a year, and market share would go up from 12.3 to 13.1%. What was the post-mortem here? Well, 1 year later, after they did this, their sales went up 10%, and their market share went all the way up to 13.5%. And by the way, Pepsi's market share declined. So what kind of feedback did I get from this exercise? Well, the head of marketing there, a gentleman by the name of Vegard Sohus, a Norwegian guy in Turkey, of all places, said that this had completely transformed and changed his view of marketing from being one of just simply managing budgets or expenses to being one about making profitable investment decisions in the tools of marketing. And through all that process, $5 million was added to the annual bottom line of Coca-Cola Turkey. This stuff works, folks, and this is an example of a tangible benefit that actually occurred. Another one, McDonald's Corporation. I was engaged in a similar exercise in 2005, a marketing ROI measurement exercise in the US. The objective of this was quite intense, was to measure the incremental sales and the return on investment from many different marketing campaigns and efforts, ranging across the broad spectrum of types of advertising, from television to outdoor advertising, from promotions, from coupons to consumer promotions, across all areas, funded both nationally and by the local franchises. In addition to that, was charged with measuring the ROI and impact of a specific new product launch that occurred during that time. So what about that new product launch? During that period of time, McDonald's invested $2 million in marketing support. When you compare that $2 million to more than $300 million that McDonald's was spending on advertising alone, this was fairly nominal, minimal, very small. So we conducted the exercise, and we got to the final part of the exercise, which I call marketing spending optimization. This is where we identify what we call the growth dividend from marketing. This 2 to 8% without requiring additional marketing investment. So based upon this exercise, what we did is we took their current marketing, we reallocated from less to more productive things, and we tried to discover what that growth dividend was. So what did we recommend here? One for one, we recommended on this new product to increase their marketing investment from 2 to 28 million in the following year, a 14-fold increase. This new product, by the way, was none other than the dollar value menu. This was the most successful new product launch the company had engaged in over 20 years, and has since not been met by any other thing that they've done since then. And our growth dividend for McDonald's was 5%. For the year forward, McDonald's, what did they do? They actually spent $35 million behind dollar value menu, more than we had recommended. Their growth was more than we had expected at 7%. But not only did they do that in the next year, 2006, but they did this 2007 and 2008. For those 3 years, folks, McDonald's was the #1 growth leader among all fast food restaurants. So again, becoming the leader in your own marketing segment or category. Another example of successful data-driven marketing. So what more is there to learn here? What are the steps to becoming a data-driven marketing organization and finding out what that growth dividend is for your brand and business. So there are 7 pillars that we're going to go over here. The first one of these is pillar 1 is a data architecture exercise. This is simply a visual design exercise where we design a predictive model that's going to predict an outcome, which is retail sales. On the left here, we have what we call all of the drivers in this model. So these are the factors that are going to, in one way or another, predict an outcome of weekly retail sales. So aligned here are all the forms of advertising, all the forms of promotions, retail price, market penetration, which is, in the case of McDonald's, would be the number of stores selling product at any given point in time, which goes up and down depending on new stores and closures, and then some measure of the health of the economy, the gross domestic product, and then finally a seasonality factor. Seasonality is a recurring, repetitive factor. For example, we know that every summer there's more soft drinks being sold than the winter times. We can build this into our model as part of the prediction. So this is the stew that goes into the pot. And we cook the pot, we get a result here, which is a model result. And we can plot this in a line chart, as you see here, over time. The gold line is what the model predicts in terms of sales period by period or week by week. The red line, which is somewhat hidden behind the gold line in many places, is the actual sales. So from this exercise, we can see how well this model actually fits historical information. So we develop this model in the gray area. And then what we do is we withhold part of the data from this model exercise in the white area. And then we plug the factors from those drivers into the model in order to see how well this model predicts some data which it has no prior knowledge concerning. And as you can see here, the results were pretty darn good. Why do we do this? Well, for the simple reason that multi-million-dollar decisions are going to be made from this exercise. It's imperative that you show how well this tool actually performs, particularly in prediction, and this does a very good job of that. Pillar 3 shows us the first insight from this exercise, or this model. The pie represents here the total sales or volume of the brand or the enterprise. The white area shows the revenue contributed from all of the drivers in our pillar 1, most of which are marketing or promotional factors. And then the bars to the right shows the individual contribution of each of those activities. So for example, you see the turquoise area, which is 7%, represents the contribution of national television advertising. Pillar 4 is a very useful chart in order to provide us an important insight. We call this the marketing variance chart. What it shows here is, we've built a model and we know the contributions on a period by period basis of each of these drivers or marketing activities. So we can actually assess at any given point in time a business is either growing in a positive sense or declining in a negative sense. We can explain why. In other words, we can show to what extent each of these factors contributed to the growth or the decline. And frankly, in many cases, we're going to see some positive things and some negative things. And hopefully when we add up the positive and negative, it comes to a positive. When we add them up, we're getting the total growth of the enterprise. Why is this chart important? Well, remember what I says, we're going to show you the tools to enable you to determine what's working and what's not working in your marketing operations. The green things, particularly if you're not spending significant amounts of more money on them, are the things that are working. The red things, for the most part, if you're not decreasing your investment on these, are probably the things that are not working very well. So you can identify those things by looking at this. Pillar 5. Pillar 5 is important because ultimately what we want to do here is prove the value of your marketing operation to the bottom line of the organization. So this is a financial exercise. So thus far what we've been able to do, we've been able to identify the revenue driven by each activity. We also know the cost behind each activity. And with finances assistance, we will know the margins in the business or the enterprise. With these three things, we can actually determine the profit or return per dollar spent on each of these activities. And obviously, we'd like to have more things showing more greater than $1 per dollar invested result, and less of the things that are less than $1. Fortunately for this enterprise, it's pretty close to being at break even at 99 cents, but just a little short of that. Pillar 6 is really kind of the climax of the enterprise. Remember we said with McDonald's at the end, we do a marketing spending optimization. We do this for all of these projects. This shows you the kind of results and actually shows you the growth dividend that you're going to get from this exercise. In the middle, what you see is the current spending or investment in marketing. $91 million in total and allocated as you see there in the table. On the left, what we see is the dollars or the profit generated from each of these activities. Ideally, we'd like to see that number greater than the actual cost or the spending behind that. In some cases, we don't. On the third bar, or the third column, we see the results of a simulation that we do. So we take the same spending, the 91 million, and we reallocate it from the less productive things, which are the red arrows at the right, and move them towards and increase the more productive things, the green arrows at the top. And as a result, we can calculate this growth dividend, which is from 2 to 8% of total revenue, in 90% of the cases I've done in 30 years of my career. So indeed, this is achievable for organizations such as yours. I have no doubt. So Pillar 7 is an actual practical tool. This is a tool that we leave with the marketing people or with the manager. This is a simulation tool derived from the model, and it does three things. It starts with showing you where you sit in terms of your budget, in terms of your ROI in that total budget, and what your costs are. Then you've got a simulation area where all of these drivers are arrayed, all the marketing factors are arrayed here, and you have a little sliding device. So you can increase one activity by moving it to the right, and you can decrease spending behind another and move it to the left. And voila, what you get at the top is you can see the immediate model data-driven results in terms of sales growth and marketing returns from these movements or simulations. This is a practical tool that helps enable a company such as yours to actually use the data-driven analytics to help you build a better marketing plan. Does that make sense? So what we've shown you today is a foundation to help you succeed in achieving this 2 to 8%, these kinds of results for your enterprise. And knowing this system is really important all the way from A to Z in order for this to work very simply. But as you know, and as you can see with the steps needed, it is not an easy button exercise. It's going to take some work and some attention. But you can do this, folks, because I've done this for many businesses who didn't think it was possible and then found out it was. Surprise, surprise. But you can win those battles to get those marketing resources that you're really going to need to drive that kind of business performance that you desire. You can do that. And will be able to gain more confidence over time that the plans you put together will actually work because you will have the information and data to support the plan. And you're ultimately going to get the recognition that you need and desire to advance your career because you will be building a reputation for actually delivering positive and tangible results for your company. So what would we promise here today? We showed you this journey, a journey for becoming a data-driven marketer. And the results from that journey, we showed a number of cases that will generally get you stronger and improved business performance from 2 to 8%, if you will. And we showed you the tools that will help you determine the payback of your marketing spending and else enable you to determine which initiatives and campaigns that you've done are working and which ones are not, and adjust your plans accordingly. And all of this will enable you to both measure your marketing results and more accurately, consistently plan and forecast the outcomes of your marketing efforts with greater consistency. And then from this, you can acquire the steps and the tools for closing the sale with your CEO and board of directors so that you can be confident in getting every dollar that you're going to need to drive the performance that you really desire. Is that something you really would like to do? Well, if your answer is yes, you can do that. And there are two forks. We're at a fork in the road here, folks. There are two ways that you can go. First, that you can work with an outsource partner, such as Bottom-Line Analytics or some other organization, to help you get there. Or that you can develop this all inside, all in-house, a grow your own approach. So an in-source versus an outsource alternative. So what if you decided to work with an outside partner? What should you expect from that partner? Well, that partner needs to have the know-how to help you develop the tools for implementing more effective marketing plans and investments such as we showed you here, in order to show you how to get those tangible and improved business results, and you should be able to see them. The currency that you're going to be used is more information, analytics, more data. This partner also needs to be a catalyst within your organization to help it transform to becoming a data-driven marketing organization. There might be some paradigm shifts that are going to be necessary. Leadership is critical. But this person also needs to show you how to leverage the power of analytics in order to drive these kinds of superlative business results. This person also needs to be a coach to help you feel more confident and in control of your marketing operations. And in so doing, give you the visual tools to begin seeing an improved purpose and excitement because of the good things that are down the road. If you decide to go on the in-source or do-it-yourself approach, this is what you need to do. First, you need to do a documentation of your current marketing operations process. This includes documenting what sources of information you have for measuring the health of your business, your brands, and your enterprise, and tracking them over time. It also means understanding and documenting the marketing, budgeting, and the protocol behind that, and the approvals that's necessary, how that works, and documenting how sales forecasting is done within your organization. There may be no direct linkage between marketing plans, marketing budgets, and sales forecasting. With the cool tools of data-driven marketing, there will be. So you need to document this. And then also the process for the important function of financial estimation. So with forecasts drive the financial people to do P&L estimates. And if you're a public enterprise, these ultimately get reported projections reported to Wall Street. And then you also need to be doing an audit of all of your data, both internal and external, the process, the flow, the accountabilities, and how this fits into this overall marketing operation process that you're documenting. So once you have all of this down in paper, we want you to take a 60,000 foot view of the entire process, and you need to decide in terms of the structure and the accountabilities represented in the current enterprise where a new department, a new business analytics department would fit. And then you need to budget for the staffing and determine the responsibilities and objectives of this new group. But in order for you to make a decision, ladies and gentlemen, to becoming a data-driven marketer, you need to come to some conclusion on some things. First of all, you need to see that your future as a business will require more fact-based tools in order to achieve success down the road. You need to agree with that proposition. And you also need to agree with the strong evidence shown here and elsewhere that the data-driven marketing organization will produce better and superlative business results over time. And then you need to be willing to make the changes you need to achieve more of a data-driven marketing organization. It might be require some paradigm shifts, some culture shifts in your organization. And nothing in business is without risk. But we call this a smart risk. So you need to be willing and okay with taking a smart risk. A smart risk is something where there's plenty of evidence of payoff. A dumb risk is going blind. And of course, you need to be spending at least $1 million a year on marketing and advertising. And if all of these things fit you, then I could say we can actually help you start down that journey and point you in the right direction. But why am I doing this, and what can you get from this directly from myself and Bottom-Line Analytics? Well, I do believe and love what I do, and I believe I could help start you down that road to success. I also believe that you can get these results because I've been there and done that with many organizations such as yours. And during this conversation, if you see us as a fit to work together, I will honestly say it would be an honor to work with you. But the thing that makes me most happy here is just simply to know that you want to do the right thing, that you want to go down this direction of becoming a data-driven organization, whether you want to work with us or not. But to help you along, I want to offer you a free strategy session, and on this webinar, there's an opportunity for you to click and find a time on my schedule to start off with a 30-minute free strategy session. And during that session, we would help point you in the right direction on how to become more of a data-driven marketing organization and some assessment of what it would take to get there. And what it takes to get there needs to keep in mind that everything that drives this journey it's all about the results, folks. For the outsourced solution, you can expect a payback in a relatively short period of time, at least some evidence of benefits in as little as 90 to 180 days. And that eventually, as little as 6 to 10 months, you'll start to see some kind of 2 to 8% improvement in your business performance over where you would have been otherwise. For the in-source solution, if you do this on your own, it's going to take you a fair amount of time longer to get there. It'll take you at least a year probably to see any kind of tangible benefits whatsoever. And you will probably see the same kind of improvement eventually, this 2 to 8%, probably in 18 to 24 months down the road. Thank you very much for your time. Here's my contact information. I would love hearing from you on this subject and other things. Thank you.